Hey, this is Charlie. I'm the editor at Switch, and we're about to find out what's hitting Australian cinemas in February 2023. First up, we have The Honeymoon. It's written and directed by Dean Craig. Okay, he's the writer behind both the British and the American versions of Death at a Funeral, as well as Australia's A Few Best Men. In this, Pico Alexander and Maria Bakalova play Adam and Sarah, who are headed for a honeymoon in Venice. But things take a disastrous turn when Adam's best friend Ed, played by Asim Chaudhry, tags along for the ride.
We're smuggling drugs, while my wife is being held hostage by a particularly handsome Italian drug lord.
Hi, officer.
What the fuck? Dude, you got fucking coke for it.
Look, a quick Google of this will reveal this has received some pretty rotten reviews, and by all regards, it seems like it could be one to avoid. Regardless, The Honeymoon hits Australian cinemas on the 2nd of February. As does M. Night Shyamalan's Knock at the Cabin. Now, this is his 15th feature film, and in that time we've had hits, we've had misses, and we've had everything in between. This time around, it's a bit of a different story. He's delving into the end of the world. It begins with a family going on holiday. They're taken hostage by armed strangers in order to apparently prevent the apocalypse from taking place.
You see, the four of us have a very important job to do. In fact, it might be the most important job in the history of the world.
That's what we do know. What we can't anticipate here is the signature Shyamalan twist. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. It's a fascinating blend of cast members. You've got Dave Bautista here, you've got Rupert Grint, and you've got Jonathan Groff and Ben Aldridge. I would not expect to see all these people together in the one movie, and the way Dave Bautista has been presenting himself lately, it's been really interesting to see how he's been sneaking up on us with some very surprising projects of late. This is just the latest one, but we'll have to see how Knock at the Cabin arrives in Australian cinemas on the 2nd of February. Next up, Darren Aronofsky is back with his latest film. It is always event cinema, and he's one of our favorites here at Switch. He's the man behind Black Swan, The Fountain, Requiem for a Dream, among so many others.
You're an amazing person, Ellie. I couldn't ask for a more incredible daughter.
Are you actually trying to parent me right now?
Who would want me to be a part of their life?
You haven't seen her since she was 8 years old and you're gonna reconnect with her?
Sorry.
I don't like this. This isn't a good idea.
I'm sorry.
You say you're sorry one more time, I will shove a knife right into you, I swear to God.
Go ahead. What's it gonna do? My internal organs are 2 feet in at least.
Brendan Fraser is reinventing himself here. It's been years since we've seen him in anything, and yet when this film premiered at the Venice Film Festival, he received a standing ovation which lasted for minutes that brought him to tears. Our own Lily was lucky enough to see The Whale at the Vienna Film Festival, and she had this to say about it. Charlie's own conflict with his weight is handled with attentiveness, and family dysfunction directed with realism and a mix of drama and humour. All these things most would shy away from or handle so lightly, Aronofsky approaches head-on with a full understanding of his art form. Make sure you check out Lily's full review up on the website now. Next up, we have CORSAGE. Now, this is a fictionalized account of 1 year in the life of Empress Elizabeth of Austria. It sees her as she turns 40 and the lengths that she'll go to in order to stay in the public eye. Vicky Krieps is in the lead role here, a fabulous actor, and she has done wonderful stuff in the past. Cannot wait to see what happens here.
As soon as I wore it, maybe 2 minutes later, I got sad. It was like that. And when I took it off, 5 minutes later, I started laughing.
Go away, go away, go away.
And I realized something is happening to me that I cannot control, and it comes from this corset. That's when I discovered the diaphragm. Our emotions, they're almost attached here. If you suppress the diaphragm, you suppress all your feelings.
CORSAGE is in Australian cinemas on the 9th of February. Now the serenade comes full circle in Magic Mike's Last Dance. Steven Soderbergh is back for the final time as Magic Mike takes to the screen. Joining Channing Tatum is Salma Hayek. This time around we're headed to London where Mike has to take to the stage again after a bad business deal.
People are numb, disconnected. We're gonna wake them up with a wave of passion they've never felt before.
Hell yeah.
Without further ado, I give you the visionary artist, Magic Mike.
So...
What we do know is that there will be Channing Tatum without a shirt, and that's probably worth the cost of a ticket alone, so make sure you check this one out. Now, hot on the heels of Bros is, spoiler alert, this is the next of the bigger budget LGBTIQ+ films. It's great to see we're getting more and more of these hitting our cinemas. This one stars Jim Parsons and Ben Aldridge, the second for him this month, feature as a couple who seem to have it all. That is, until one of them is diagnosed with cancer.
This is less of a rom-com and more of a love story. He can't sit for 4 hours. We promised bed.
All the beds are occupied.
Get my husband to bed! Well, that was Oscar-worthy. Worked for Shirley MacLaine. I'm sorry I never told you how good your ass looks in your khaki pants. I was afraid if you understood how beautiful you are that you'd leave me.
Thank you for inviting us.
It was Kit's idea. I was vehemently opposed to it. And like all love stories, it never actually ends.
This film comes from Michael Showalter, who was the director of The Big Sick, so you know it's in safe hands. And as I say, it's just the latest in the rise of mainstream LGBTIQ+ characters. I mean, besides Knock at the Cabin, which we've already seen, this year we can expect to see Passengers, Cassandra, Drift, Fancy Dance, and Shortcoming. They were all hitting Sundance Film Festival earlier this year. We've also got Dan Levy's Good Grief, which is set to premiere on Netflix, and the Taiwanese supernatural comedy Marry My Dead Body, which has been getting rave reviews also. So there's some really exciting queer content hitting our screen this year. Next up from Florian Zeller, the man who brought us the award-winning The Father, comes his new film, The Son. This story centers around divorced parents who have a teenage son who's struggling with mental illness. This has a stellar cast. It's got Hugh Jackman, Laura Dern, Anthony Hopkins, and Vanessa Kirby. And with this film, Zeller said he wanted to have audiences feeling really uncomfortable.
I feel like a complete failure.
I wasn't there for him.
There used to be so much joy in our family.
You give these big speeches about life, and then you abandon us. I have the right to reinvent my life!
Also out on the 9th of February is the New Zealand documentary Fetu Marauma, Bright Star. Lost for 600 years, it tells the story of how an ancient Maori tradition was revived, led by one man, the chief, also known as Hek Busby.
My dream is to teach the younger ones about celestial navigation and keep working building our lives.
His work will never get lost. It'll never go away as long as we voyage. We've got to sail.
He spent his life following through on the commitments he took upon himself to revive the navigational skills of our people.
This looks like an absolutely beautifully told tale that also glimpses at how the tradition is being kept alive today through new generations. I can't wait to take a look at this. Now, our only real blockbuster of the month is Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Paul Rudd is back, and he's bringing us the first offering of Phase 5 of the MCU. And Jonathan Majors is bringing his big bad to the big screen for the first time, facing off against Ant-Man in the multiverse.
Secret universe beneath ours.
I can get you home. and give you more time. If you help me.
And yes, that was Bill Murray you spied there. The elusive actor is now a part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which continues to sprawl through cinemas from the 16th of February. Now for something a little more indie and another queer film out this month, which is Close. It actually is out one day before World Pride descends on Sydney, so the timing couldn't be any more perfect. It's about two 13-year-old boys named Leo and Remy who are absolutely inseparable, but they're suddenly and tragically torn apart. This was directed by Lucas Dont, and it was the winner of the Grand Jury Prize at the Cannes Film Festival, so you know it is something really special. Can you believe that up until 1991, there was not a single female who was working professionally in any orchestra anywhere in the world? That absolutely blows my mind, but Australian Simone Young actually broke that trend, and her story is actually told in the new documentary, Knowing the Score. It's an absolutely intriguing tale. It follows her challenges as she breaks into a male-dominated industry.
1993, very famously the first time a woman had conducted in the Vienna State Opera.
For the first time, I have seen a woman conductor who completely asexualized her gestures.
What does being a woman have to do with conducting? My tits don't get in the way.
Just over 3 years ago, Simone Young made a return home to become Opera Australia's music director.
She walked into a job with many, many limitations. What was shocking about it was how badly she was treated.
Being a musician is not just a job. Being a musician also defines who we are. And suddenly that was all ripped away. I found it devastating.
It's executive produced by Cate Blanchett, and I'd be fascinated to know whether this came first or Tar, but either which way, it's an amazing insight into a groundbreaking Australian artist. One for the kids is My Fairy Troublemaker. Here we have a cheeky fairy named Violetta who gets lost in the human world, and in order to return to the fairy world, she has to team up with a 12-year-old named Maxie. They work together and they end up discovering their true identities. It's a cute concept and definitely one for the younger ones. Off the back of runs at Sydney, Toronto, New Zealand and Melbourne International Film Festivals comes We Are Still Here. This is an anthology of stories from 8 First Nation storytellers. It spans 1,000 years. They range from the past, present and future on a variety of subjects, with one common hope: to heal.
Kia moe Pākehā ahau. Kua pāhuatia e ia te whenua nei.
Ko ai kuitama. Ko ai.
With tales of 8 Indigenous heroes from Australia, New Zealand and the Pacific who must overcome obstacles in a way that they can finally be masters of their own destiny, We Are Still Here is sure to be an eye-opening experience for all audiences. Well, we also have Winnie-the-Pooh Blood and Honey hitting cinemas. Terrifyingly, Disney no longer exclusively owns the rights to old Winnie the Pooh Bear, and so say welcome to this R-rated rendition of your favourite honey-obsessed 100-acre wood resident.
I would have never left that.
Well, they do say don't poke the bear, but this is definitely not one to take the whole family to. Now, a film that is sure to be up for a slew of awards is Women Talking. This looks absolutely superb. It has an incredible cast. It's got Rooney Mara, Claire Foy, Jessie Buckley, Frances McDormand, Judith Ivey and Ben Whishaw, just to name a few of the people involved. It's based on a book by Miriam Toews that's in turn shockingly based on real-life events.
We know that we've not imagined these attacks. We know that we are bruised and infected and pregnant, and some of us are dead.
We cannot forgive because we are forced to.
Do nothing.
Stay and fight. Leave.
We know that we must protect our children.
I will become a murderer if I stay.
We are not all murderers.
Not yet.
Men have taught the lesson of power to the boys, and they have been excellent students.
But they are children, and they can be taught.
Have we made a decision?
Sarah Polley is directing here with an eye that is just so sharp. She said the grading here has been done to make it look like a world that has faded away in the past. But this film is going to make you angry, but it's also going to be a very powerful story, and no doubt with a lot of resonance to issues that are still going on today. After Sun is Charlotte Wells' directorial debut and is being lauded by fans and critics alike. Here, Frankie Corio and Paul Mescal are starring as 11-year-old Sophie and her father Callum respectively. This is set in the late 1990s and it's presented as something of a memory montage. Daniel had this to say in his review. The miracle of After Sun is the way in which it allows us to see through Sophie's eyes. For the person to whom the memories belong, nothing about these moments is inconsequential. When we think about these perfect memories of someone we deeply care about, it's not the dramatic ones that make our hearts skip a beat, but these small perfect moments of a life being lived, private exchanges only we notice. Read more of Daniel's review up on the website now. Up next, Cocaine Bear. Now, the online chatter for this is already insane, and there's no questions why. The concept for this is absolutely mind-boggling. It's the true story of a duffel bag full of cocaine that, after a drugs bust, got into the paws of a bear and, well, the rest is history. Elizabeth Banks is directing here, and this is a horror thriller that pays homage to the works of Sam Raimi and John Carpenter, according to Banks herself.
Oh shit! Get higher, baby!
It kind of seems like the thing that stays with a man forever.
Now, this is quite possibly going to be my highlight of the month based on the pure ridiculousness and the premise of the trailer alone. Let's revisit Cornwall one more time for Fisherman's Friends, one and all. We're back with the Singing Seamen in this sequel of the much-loved musical comedy. The gang rise to fame after the success of their first album, but they have to work to adjust to their new celebrity, and they have to live up to their fans' expectations with a follow-up album, all while replacing a valuable member.
The fan club's been inundated with people wanting to be the new Fisherman's Friend.
When Father died, the band died with him.
I am sailing. They want you. They want you. They want you as a new recruit.
No, we bloody don't.
Santiana won the day, heave away, all along the plains of Mexico.
Please welcome our newest member of the band, Morgan Jenkins.
Oh, you've had it right up to here. Father would be spinning in his grave. I quit! Time to cut them loose.
While it's technically being pegged as being based on a true story, the sequel is largely a fictionalized tale of the Fisherman's Friends. Finally, from the folks who bought us Searching back in 2018 comes Missing. This time, Storm Reed's June is behind the keyboard on the hunt for her mother, played by Nia Long, and her boyfriend Ken Lung when they go missing on a vacation in Colombia.
The strangest case I've ever seen.
There may be more than meets the eye.
There are some legit questions.
Hey, Junebug. There's actually a lot I want to talk with you about.
Oh my god, someone's here.
There is a firm formula that was established in Searching, but that is amplified by the fact that this time around the protagonist is stuck more than 5,000 kilometers away. Now let's hope that that leaves us with a little bit of intrigue and that the trailer doesn't spoil the whole damn thing. And that's what's in Australian cinemas this month. Now, we don't have any advertising on the Switch website because we really believe that it's important that we keep the focus on the films. So if you're able to support us, we'd really appreciate that. We've actually got the links to our Ko-fi and our Patreon pages up on the screen now, or they're in the description to this video. So give them a click and see if you can help us out. The other thing you can really do to help is to click on the subscribe link to our channel. If you found this useful, we do tons of videos like this every month, so make sure you subscribe to get all of the latest videos from Switch. And remember, like it, follow it, right here at Switch.